Hello you guys, hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I thought we could do a fun kind of holiday themed where I am tier ranking all of the romance books that I have read. Now I do have a few caveats because I pulled my romance books for this tier ranking based on what I've logged onto Goodreads, and I didn't actively start using Goodreads until maybe like 2020-ish, so there's gonna be romance books that I have forgotten about that's not gonna be in this list. So I've read more than these, but this is just basically what I've logged on Goodreads, so that's what I'm gonna be tier ranking. And then also I focused mostly on pure romance books. I didn't include any romantasy books in here because I wanted to just really focus in on the romance genre and just how many different books I've read in this genre, because one thing about me is I'm a romance lover, so I love this genre and I thought it would be fun to just reflect on all the ones that I've read thus far and rank them, and we can chat about them, and maybe you'll get some book recommendations too if you're looking for a romance book. So it's probably gonna be a long video, a chatty video, so I would grab a drink, grab a little beverage or a snack, get comfy, and let's dive right in. Okay, you guys, so I've made my tier list rankings, and we have first our 6 stars. So these are books that are 6 stars for me, aka they're always gonna be a favorite. If I reread them, I love them even more. So these are like god tier level romance books. The next one that I have is great and always recommend these. So these are books that maybe aren't on my like god tier list, but I always recommend them because I did really enjoy them. There's just maybe 1 or 2 things I would change about them in order to make them perfection. And then the next grouping here I have is you were good, but I was expecting more. So like maybe a book that I was really anticipating, or just in general I heard a lot of hype around, and when I read it I just thought it was okay. Like I was expecting a little bit more. So that's what this one is. The next ranking here is just okay. These books were fine and like they weren't really for me, but I can see how people love them. And then the last one here is do not recommend. These are romance books that I personally didn't think was worth the time reading. And again, these are my opinions. If you love one of these books down in here, then that's totally great. That's what reading is. It's subjective. Each book is not going to be for everyone. So now that we have gotten all of that out of the way, let's dive right in. So the first book here that I have is The Hating Game. And this is actually one of the romance books that I think jump-started me back into reading. I remember Noelle, who used to be on YouTube, like loved this book, and I was like, okay, I need to see what the hype is around this book. And I really enjoyed it at the time. If I reread it, I don't know if it would be one that I would think is like a 6-star read, but it has a soft spot in my heart. So because of that, I'm going to put in great and always recommend. I do think this is a book that I would recommend to friends, especially if you like a workplace rivalry type of romance. And this is also set in the publishing world, so if you like those kind of things and you haven't read this book, then definitely check it out. The next book here is Red, White, and Royal Blue. I actually think I like the movie better than the book, if I'm being honest. I loved the movie. I thought it was perfection and fun, and how they promoted it was so cool. I would recommend this one. I'm gonna put great always, and I'll always recommend it because I felt like it was a fun book to read, especially like summertime. That could be a fun book to read. Before We Were Strangers. This is a book that I was recommended because I don't even know why I was recommended this book, if I'm being honest. And this one I think kind of teeters the line of being a romance because it does also have like some just drama in it that I think kind of leans it towards a fiction book maybe. Personally, I think I'm gonna put You Were Good, but I was expecting more, and I think that's mostly because it was fine. Like I wasn't like in love with it or obsessed with it like all my other friends were when they read this book, so I was like, okay, maybe I'm like missing something. It was good. I would recommend reading it if you want like a romance that has more drama to it. In A Holidays, I actually really like this book. I think it's one of the few times a Groundhog's Day type of plot device has been done really well. And this is actually one of my favorite holiday romances because for some reason the holiday romance genre I feel like struggles a bit and the books just being not good. But this one I really, really enjoyed. So I'm gonna put this one in great and always recommend these. Yeah, I really recommend this one. If you love a good holiday romance that's a Groundhog's Day done well, then I would recommend checking this one out. Oh my gosh, Beach Read. I think you guys already know where this is going. 6 stars. Duh, that is my baby. I love that book and it will forever be ranked up there highly, so no shocker there. Next we have People We Meet on Vacation. This might be a controversial take, but this is I think one of my least favorite Emily Henry books. So I'm just gonna put You Were Good, but I was expecting more because I had just read Beach Read. So like I was on that high of like, oh my God, I love Emily Henry's writing. And I kind of expected People We Meet on Vacation to be a similar vibe, which they're not. It is a very different type of romance trope in this one. This is friends to lovers. And I just realized I don't think I'm a big friends to lovers girly. Like I really like the tension that an enemies to lovers or a rivals to lovers has. And I feel like you just don't get that in a friends to lovers situation. Is that toxic of me? I don't know, but it was good. And I know people really love this. And I think when the movie comes out though, I'll probably love it even more. The next book here is a Sophie Cousins book. And this was This Time Next Year. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know where to put this one. Like it was better than Just Okay, but I don't know if I was really expecting more from this one. So I think this falls in the more, it was good. Like it was good. Maybe I was expecting a little bit more, but like at the same time I wasn't. It was good. And also for this one being kind of a seasonal romance too, I think it was done really well. I also think this just came out into a movie, but it's not available in the US yet. And I really want to watch it because it has the actor who plays Alfie in Emily in Paris, and I love him. So like I would really love to watch this, but it was a good book. That's all. Maybe I should put it in Just Okay. Okay, maybe we're just gonna put it in Just Okay. That kind of seems accurate. We'll see. One Day in December. Great and always recommend. I think people either love or hate this book. I was in the camp that I love this book. I just loved the messiness of it. And yes, it is kind of a wintry themed book. I wouldn't necessarily call this a holiday book, a holiday romance one. It is more winter romance and it's messy. If you like One Day, that show and book, then you will probably like this book because it was just good. Second First Impressions. This is the same author that did The Hating Game, and I'm gonna be honest, this one was just okay. This is a Christina Lauren book, and I'm forgetting it's like Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. I'm gonna put this one as just okay because I can't remember the plot. Like I know I didn't hate it when I read this book, and I was really diving into like the Christina Lauren world of books when I first started reading again, and it was enjoyable. I think it was fun, but I also like can't remember it, so we're just gonna leave it in Just Okay. The Unhoneymooners. I think I'm gonna put this one in like it was good, but I think I was expecting more because I think people really hyped this book up and I enjoyed it. It was very fun, the perfect summer beachy read. But I think at the same time I was also reading the Emily Henry books, and just like the level of writing's so different. And I think I was just expecting more. Very good, very entertaining, and I actually would recommend it. The next book here, another Emily Henry, Speak of the Devil, Book Lovers. I'm gonna put this one, oh gosh, this is another controversial take. Book Lovers is also one of my least favorite books from Emily Henry. So I think I'm also gonna put this one in like You Were Great, You Were Good, but I was expecting more. I just was really expecting more, and this one is definitely the definition of like a Hallmark movie in a book. It's like the big city girl goes to a small town and falls in love kind of thing, which I enjoy. Don't get me wrong, the writing in this was phenomenal. I just didn't resonate that much with the characters, and there is more family drama in this book compared to some of her past ones, or in this book in particular, the family played a bigger role and plot in it, so it was just fun. It was okay, like I enjoyed it. I haven't done a reread of it, so maybe if I reread it, it will change my mind, but I was expecting a little bit more. What If You and Me? Now, this is part of a trilogy interconnected world, and this book I think is my least, well, I don't know. I loved the first book in this world, and then the next two I think are just okay for me. I love the covers. I think the covers are really fun and fresh. They're by Rudy Lauren, and I love that each female character has very different representation. In the first book, we have a character that deals with Tourette's, and then another character in the second book that deals with, I believe, severe anxiety and PTSD. And then I forget what the third character is struggling with in the third book, but each of our characters I think has great representation, and the conversations around them are all beautiful. Just the plot in general for the books 2 and 3 are just okay. So because of that, I'm gonna put For You and No One Else also in this one because I'm talking about both of them right now. So it makes sense to just move that one up as well. So these are just okay, still really enjoyable. They're also spicy. The third book I think is the spiciest of them all. So if you're looking for a good book, I would recommend that one. The Ex-Hex, great and always recommend. I think this book is so fun, and it's like one of the few witchy books that I think is like the perfect quirky kookiness while also having a fun and interesting plot line. I loved the chemistry between our main characters. I did a reread of this one this past year and just ate it up again, and I love it. So I would always recommend this book, especially during Halloween. If you're wanting like a fun witchy read, then definitely read that one. This is Taylor Jenkins Reid's One True Loves. And I'm gonna be honest, I read this book when people were really hyping this up, and I think I played into it. I was like, yes, I love it. But in hindsight, I think I was expecting more. So I'm gonna put it there. I think this is also a movie, and the movie's, I think, transparently really bad. I haven't watched it. It just looks really bad. And yeah, this is one of her backlist of books. So if you're trying to read them, I would recommend this one, but like maybe go in with lower expectations with it. The Holiday Swap. I'm gonna put this one in just okay. Like, it is your traditional holiday winter romance book, and that's fine. Like, there wasn't anything else I was expecting from it. It was just okay. It was entertaining, light, and fluffy, which I love, because I've also noticed recently a lot of winter holiday romance books have trauma in the storylines, and that's just a bit, like, I don't want that. I want a light, fluffy holiday romance book, and this gave what it needed to give, but that's it. Like, it didn't go above and beyond. So because of that, we're putting that in just okay. And this is also gonna be probably a controversial take, but The Love Hypothesis, that was just okay. Like, I can see why people love this book, and I appreciate the women in STEM representation, but like, there was nothing. I did not care about the relationship. I didn't care about our female character. I didn't care about our male character. Like, I didn't care about anything about this book. So because of that, it's just okay for me personally, but I can see why girlies love this book and why they eat it up. Window Shopping. This was my first Tessa Bailey book, actually, so I didn't really know what to expect, if I'm being honest. I know people really liked her summer romance book, which transparently I haven't read either, but I think just because of how much people love her writing, I was expecting something totally different than what I got, but not to say that was a bad time. I really love this book. It's like a shorter, almost novella length, I believe. And I also just love the cover. This cover is to die for, so cutesy, winter, fun. Just Haven't Met You Yet. I think when I went into this one, I was also anticipating it to be more, I don't know. I just was expecting more when I read this one, and it fell flat for me. I also read this, I think, at the beginning of a year. So I was really like, oh, I hope this is a 5-star read. And then like, it wasn't. Spoiler alert, it wasn't a 5-star read. So I just was like disappointed in that sense. However, I do actually think about this book kind of a lot, and just the storytelling and our character like crossing paths with someone who she was like potentially gonna fall in love with. So I think the storytelling in this one is really fun, and it felt very cozy. Like, looking back on it, I think this is a cozy romance. So if that's your jam, you will probably love this book. The next book here is The Kiss Quotient, and I feel like this is a OG romance book, similar to like The Hating Game. And I'm gonna put this one in great, and I'll always recommend it. I just think the storyline and the plot and our characters in this one is so unique, and I haven't personally read that many like this one. Representation's also, I think, amazing in this book, and we always need more of that. So I love this one. It may be an OG, but it's an OG classic for a reason. The Summer of Broken Rules. I always recommend this one because I just think it's so fun. I know some people actually hate this book. Like, I've seen a lot of slander for it recently. However, I just think it has a good nostalgia feel to it, even though like I can't relate. Like, I don't have a family that has this nice beach house on the coast of Maine up there, you know? Like, I can't relate to that, but the coziness of this big family and their traditions and how close they are, it just was like so nostalgic, and it's set in the summertime, and they're playing a fun game of assassin. Like, it's fun. I just had a fun time reading this, but I would say you should read it during summer. Like, I'm talking peak summer in July, read this book. The Proposal. I picked this one up because it was mostly part of Reese's book club pick, and it was just okay. I know people really was liking The Wedding Date by this author, and I haven't read that one, so I thought, oh, I'll read this one. Reese picked it. I'm sure it's good. It fell flat for me. And this is when I started to realize that maybe me and Reese don't have similar taste in our books, and that's okay. But next book here, 7 Days in June. I'm gonna put this one as a 6-star, When I first read this one, I don't think it had as big of an impact as I thought it would, but I literally think about this book all the time, all the time. So I absolutely adore it, and it is one that I always recommend people just because I think the writing in this one is stunning. It is beautiful. The roughest draft. Now, I mostly read this book because everyone was comparing it to beach read, and I was trying to get a beach read fix because I hadn't found a romance book that was even comparable to beach read. I'm gonna put this one as great, and I'll recommend it, but it isn't a 6-star read for me. It did not compare at all to beach read in my opinion. It is similar vibes where it's two authors writing a book together. They're in a summer house because they need to finish it by a deadline, and they may or may not fall in love again. There was tension in there. It was great. But oh boy, Birds of California. I'm just gonna put this in do not recommend. I just remember picking this up, and it is on the shorter side, so I was like, oh, this will be like a fun, cute read. And I just remember being like, wait, what? This feels like it is such an abrupt ending to this book, and I could have actually used like 200 plus more pages, which who would have thought? Usually I'm like, keep romances on the shorter side, but this one just felt abrupt. I also didn't love the plot, and I thought our characters were underdeveloped. So personally, for me, this is a do not recommend. There's better romances out there, so you can skip this one. Part of Your World. I have been thinking about this one and all of Abby Jimenez books in actual depth lately of like my ranking of them, similar to how I do Emily Henry rankings, and I don't know where to put this one because I really love Just for the Summer. Like Just for the Summer, we're gonna pull that one out. Just for the Summer is a 6-star read for me. Like that is spectacular. I love it, but I don't know if I would have found it if I hadn't read Part of Your World. I think I would have eventually read Just for the Summer, but like having read Part of Your World, it allowed me to like see the scale of Abby Jimenez's writing. I think I'm gonna put it in great and always recommend. I do remember reading it and sometimes being like, all right, like I don't know if I buy into that, but this book did introduce me to Abby Jimenez, and for that I'm grateful because now it's like Abby Jimenez is one of my personally auto-buy authors because I just love her stuff. So I think we're gonna put it there for right now. I might change it. Happy Place. This is a 6-star read for me. This is also one of my top favorite books from Emily Henry. I personally love the friendship storyline in this because I think when I read this book, it just really resonated with me. And I finally felt like I could relate and someone could understand what I was feeling of that post-grad feeling of feeling a little lost and a little disconnected from your friends that you made in college. And like, how do you have those conversations and stuff like that? So I personally love this book. I know some people may not love it, but I ate this one up and I really did appreciate the romance in this one. Like, this is a really good book. And I think about these people a lot. Okay, the next book here is Meet Me at the Lake, and I'm gonna put this one as just okay. This is my least favorite Carly Fortune book. It has a trope in here that I literally hate, and Carly Fortune loved to incorporate at the time in her books. So we hate that book. It's not that I don't recommend it, it's just my least favorite out of Carly Fortune's books, so we're putting it in just okay. Better Than the Movies. This is a 6-star read for me. Lynn Painter somehow captured magic when she wrote this book. I don't know what she was doing, what she did, but I adore this book. Better Than the Movies is just YA at its core, and it's at its best in my opinion, and I really hope that they actually do make an adaptation of this book because I think it will do so well on screen, and it gives similar vibes to All the Boys I've Loved. So if you loved To All the Boys, then I think you will absolutely adore Better Than the Movies and eat it up. Okay, the next book here, Under the Mistletoe. This one's just okay. Again, the holiday romance genre is 9 times out of 10 just okay for me, and this one, I think I liked the setting. Like, I think we were in the UK at like a rich person's castle, which is fun. One Last Gift. Great, and always recommend these. However, I'm gonna caveat that this book is sad. This book is sad as hell. Like, this cover may look cutesy and you're like, ooh, a nice holiday romance. Grieving. We're grieving in this book. Just be prepared when you go into this one because I wasn't, and I was shocked when people were recommending this one saying they enjoyed it so much, which don't get me wrong, I also enjoyed it, but no one was telling me it was about grief. The next holiday romance book here is The Christmas Wish, and I'm putting this in do not recommend. This is a waste of time. Don't read it. It is a Groundhog's Day romance plot device in here, and it's tragic and it's awful. If you are wanting a holiday romance that has that Groundhog's Day trope, then please go read In the Holidays by Christina Lauren, because that book is way better, and The Christmas Wish was a waste of time. Like, I actively hate this book and do not recommend it. So don't, just pass over it. We can ignore that book, okay? Lynn Painter, The Do-Over. I'm gonna put this one in as great and always recommend these. Speaking of Groundhog's Day, this is also a Groundhog's Day, Valentine's Day romance. So basically our main female character has to repeat Valentine's Day over and over and over again until she can kind of solve the reason why she's reliving these days over and over. And it's just so fun. Especially for Valentine's Day, I feel like this is a perfect book to read in the month of February. And again, Lynn Painter captured the innocentness and just magicalness of a YA romance book, so highly recommend. Nora Goes Off Script. Now, when I first read this book, I actually think I gave it 4 stars, but in hindsight, I'm gonna actually give this 6 stars. This is the perfect romance book length. Like, it's short, it's snappy and quick, and yet you love your characters so much. Like, you are rooting for them even in the short amount of time. And I think about this book actually a lot, and out of all of her books, this is my favorite one from her, and I would highly recommend checking this one out if you haven't read it yet. Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I'm also gonna put this one in great and always recommend these. Again, the first 2 books in this like trilogy, I really loved them. I just couldn't connect with the characters that much, but I still enjoyed the writing, the banter, the wittiness. Abby did a great job in both of those books, so that's why they're both in like the great, and I'll always recommend them. But for me, there was just something missing, that little extra oomph that I needed. Okay, the next book here that we have is From the Jump, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember much of this one. I did read it for a book club, and I think we just wanted something tropical and fun, and I think we were all left like, all right, that was like a non-memorable romance book. Like, it was fun and it was good to read during the summer, but that's about it. So we'll put it in just okay for right now. Betting on You. I am gonna put this one at, ooh, do I put it in always recommend or good but expecting more? I think I'm gonna put it in good but I was expecting more. This one does focus heavily on kind of these kids having divorced parents and how does one cope with that, which I feel like unless you have divorced parents, you actually might find this book kind of annoying. But as an offspring of divorced parents, I could relate to our characters a lot. And it did have me kind of thinking back on my own childhood as I was reading this book. So in that sense, I really enjoyed it. But there were moments in this book where I was like, all right, would this actually happen? I don't know. And there's also, I think, a miscommunication portion of this book that I didn't love, which I know is like the realities of a lot of romance. That's like common miscommunication, but in this one I was like, I don't know if I buy it. So we're just gonna leave it there for now. I enjoyed it and I recommend it to few people, but not everyone. Last Chance Books. This cover is like so cute and I just wish it was better. Like, this cover is adorable. I love it. And I've kept the physical book simply because it's cute, but I feel like it could have been written just a smidge better. There's a lot happening. There's this like rivalry happening and then fake dating, I believe, and then also lots of family drama. Like, it was almost to the point where too much was going on and I couldn't enjoy it that much. So because of that, we're just gonna put it in just okay. The book cover though itself, love. I think it's so cute. Done and Dusted. Now, this might be a hot take, but I think it's just okay. Like, I think people were hyping this book up too much and I wish it actually leaned more into the Western romance aspect of it. It's very spicy. So if you're wanting a spicy book, then I highly recommend this one, but it was fun. It was a good time. I had fun with it. It was a book club pick as well, but I think I was just expecting more. And I will say this was my first time diving into Western romances, and it did make me realize that, oh, I think I need to explore this genre more because I did have fun with it. Funny Story, all the way to the top, baby. This is my other 6-star read from Emily Henry. I love this one, and the fact that people were slandering This book makes me sad because I envision the main male character as Dylan O'Brien. Like, how can you be slandering that book when he's the main guy you're picturing? So, all to say, I loved this book. It was perfection, and it was everything I needed. So, that's all I'm gonna say. Every Summer After, I'm gonna put great, and I always recommend this one. I really loved this book when it came out, and I also adore all of Carly Fortune's covers. Even Meet Me at the Lake, while I hate that book, like the storyline in it, the cover's absolutely stunning, and all the books lined up together on the shelf, perfection, they're pieces of art. But Every Summer After it came to me at a time when I was like looking for a fun summer romance book that had just a smidge more depth to it. Like, I love when a romance book can balance heaviness and real life struggles while also highlighting some fun, silly moments, and I loved the dual timeline in this book. I thought it was everything that I needed and more. There's a plot twist and a trope in here that happens that I hated. So that's why it's not in a 6-star read for me, but I try to look past that, if I'm being honest, and try and forget that that happens in that book. The next book that we have here is, I'm blanking on the name of it, but it is a holiday romance book set in New York, and I'm gonna put this one in You Were Good, but I was expecting more. This is the same author that did One Day in December, so I was definitely expecting that kind of heaviness, or just not leaning into the happy moments of a romance for this one, but I would say the opposite. This one definitely is happy, fun, while kind of unveiling some family mysteries around our main female character. Anyways, it was good. I was just expecting more. Like, it was just not the vibe that I was expecting, which maybe that's on me, but it was entertaining, and it was on the better end of holiday romance books. The next book that I have here is This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune, and I'm gonna put this one at great and always recommend. This book is fun, and you can tell that Carly Fortune had such a fun time writing it because it was not drama heavy, and it was just lighthearted, and it felt like a true summer romance, and there was no tropes that people hate, like in her first 2 books. Like, it was just a pure old good old romance book, and because of that, I really enjoyed it, and it caught me off guard. So I would recommend, like, out of all of Carly Fortune's books, this is, I think, the top one that I would recommend, followed by Every Summer After. The next book is When in Rome, and I'm gonna be honest, this one's just okay for me. This one was getting a lot of hype at the time, and so I went in like hoping to love it just as much as everyone else, and it was just fine. Like, it's an average romance of this pop star falling in love with like this small town man, and that's about it. Like, it was fine, but nothing groundbreaking in my books. Love Holly. You Were Good, but I was expecting more, so like, I really enjoyed it. However, again, similar to One Last Gift, cutesy cover, and you think it's gonna be a fun time. Wrong. We're dealing with grief. We're dealing a lot with grief, and like not that much romance. So because of that, I was just like, where's the romance? We're like, really, what happened? So because of that, we're gonna put it in like the You Were Good, but I really was expecting more. Summer Romance by the author that did Nora Goes Off Script. I'm also gonna put this at You Were Good, but I was expecting more. For some reason, this book didn't resonate as much with me compared to Nora Goes Off Script, but I know a lot of people that really enjoyed this one, so for me, like, it was fine, it was good, but I was expecting a little bit more, a little bit of that spark that I got in Nora Goes Off Script. Under Your Spell. This book is so fun, and I highly recommend this one. I feel like this is an underrated book. Not many people have heard about it or read about it, but it has like a magical realism to it, and a big mega pop star falls in love with kind of like the project manager-esque type of girl, and just their dynamic and how they navigate their relationship in this messy paparazzi-filled world was really fun. And there's also a fun like sister dynamic in this book as well, and there's magical realism. Like, what is there not to love about that? So highly recommend this. If you loved the X-Hex, then you would probably enjoy Under Your Spell, and then if you also enjoyed Part of Your World, because I do think there is some magical realism in Part of Your World, then you'll probably enjoy Under Your Spell as well. The Breakup Pact, I'm gonna put this one in just okay. I think I was like really hoping that this would be a fun read simply because of the cover. I did get an advanced copy of this book and we did read it for my book club and we all kind of agreed. It was fine. It wasn't anything groundbreaking. It did try to do a lot of things in this book. Like our character was grieving the death of her sister while also trying to be an entrepreneur, while also trying to fake date. And like, I think if they just took a step back and tried to focus on like one or two, not all three and then some, it maybe would have hit differently. But yeah, this one it was fine. It wasn't anything groundbreaking for me. Nothing like the movies. Like I said, we're not gonna talk about this book. We're gonna act like this book doesn't exist. We're gonna act like Better Than the Movies is a standalone book because this book was a waste of time. Don't read it. And it saddens me to say that because I love Lynn Painter and her writing. The writing of this was fine. It was just no point. There was no point in this book, in my opinion. We did not need this. And it actually made me kind of hate the characters a little bit. So we're just gonna pretend like this book doesn't happen. You with a View, great, and always recommend this book. I love this book. It was fun. I loved the dynamic with the grandpa and him being on the road trip with our main characters. I kind of just didn't love the social aspect of it, and like social, and when I say that I mean like social media. Anytime a book incorporates like the internet or like social media-esque things, I just like turns me off a little bit simply because that's my job field. I work in social media and I don't want to read about it. Like I'm trying to escape my job for a reason. So that's why I didn't get a 6-star rating. But when I looked past that, the book was like fabulous and I loved this book and you all should read it if you haven't yet. Is She Really Going Out With Him? Another great and always recommend. So this one is also by Sophie Cousins, the author who did Just Haven't Met You Yet, as well as, I thought there was another book that I've read by her. But anyways, oh yeah, This Time Next Year. Duh, that's her book as well. This is my favorite out of Sophie Cousins' book. This one was pure lighthearted fun while also showing the realities of being like an older woman trying to date. We follow a main female character in her like late 30s who has children, has gotten divorced, and is trying to like enter the dating scene again. And it just was like refreshing to read. You know, a lot of these books do have younger characters, so having a character that was older was just refreshing. And I also adore this cover. I think it's so cute. It actually reminds me a lot of Better Than the Movies, and nothing like the movies. Like the design aspect is very similar and I love it. I think those covers are adorable, so I highly recommend this one. Daydream. This is actually the only book that I've read from this author, so I haven't read the first 2 books in this technically connected series, but this book was fabulous. It's way more character driven than I thought it would be. So if you are someone who needs a lot of plot in a book, you probably won't enjoy this one, Daydream, but I ate it up. I thought the characters were really relatable. I also thought the characters were so mature for being college-age students. I was like, I'm sorry. When I was in college, boys were literally not behaving like this. They were heathens. So it was just refreshing to read. Absolutely ate it up, adored it. I'm also a sucker for a purple cover. I just think it's so cute. So love, would recommend. The next book here is The Boyfriend Candidate, and this is a 6-star read for me. One of my favorite books from Ashley Winstead. I just absolutely ate this book up. It is so funny. It's so funny to the point where I was like actually giggling and laughing, and the steaminess and connection between our characters is amazing. It is a fake dating romance type of book, and it does kind of revolve around Texas politics, which I know some people don't want to read about, but Ashley Winstead, I think, did a fabulous job of this book, and I absolutely adored it, and I just would recommend it to everyone. Like, it's actually a giggly, fun, steamy book. Christmas Tree Farm. I loved this book. I don't know if it was just like the right book at the right time for me. I feel like some people think it's just okay. Nope, I thought this was perfect. Set on a Christmas tree farm, silliness of like the town hall meetings that reminded me of Gilmore Girls, and it kind of felt like a Hallmark movie with just a hint of spice in it. So like, I ate it up. I love this book, and I would recommend for all of you to read it as well during the holiday time. Speaking of Christmas tree settings, I'm also going to put Love Light Farms in this book as well, in this category as well. This one's also set at a Christmas tree farm. There's a fake dating romance aspect to us, as well as like a kind of challenge to win a reward. aspect to this story, and it's enjoyable. It's one of the better holiday romance books in my opinion, so for that, she's beautiful. Waiting for Tom Hanks. Now see, this book we're gonna put in do not recommend, because I feel like, oh, there's a book on here that I think does a better job at it. Anyways, this was a book that I read kind of at the beginning of my reading journey, so like I didn't know what to expect, and it just wasn't that good. It's not that memorable, and I remember feeling like I could have not read this book and been okay. Like it is just okay. So for that, I'm just gonna put it at do not recommend. And the same thing goes for Miss Hannah Brown. I'm not gonna recommend this book. This book has a huge ass trope in it that I absolutely hate, and it wasn't for me. I can see why people like this book. If you are a fan of Hannah Brown, then you will probably just eat this book up, because she did include a lot of Easter eggs from when she was a bachelorette, and I just know if you're a huge fan of her, then you will probably love this book, but for me, it was a waste of time. I did get an advanced copy of this book, so I'm happy I personally didn't spend money on it, but that's my review of it. I don't know who to recommend it to, so for me, it's a do not recommend type of book. And then the last book here that we have is Yes and I Love You, and this is a 6-star read for me. I just adored this book. I thought it really dealt with real life heavy scenarios while also making it fun, and also having serious conversations around how to be inclusive, and just, I don't know, this book I think is highly underrated, and I wish more people read it, because I think it is one of the better books out there in the romance world. Again, I also just love the cover of this book, and I highly recommend it. Okay, you guys, that's gonna be all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this fun, silly tier ranking romance video. If you've read any of these books, let me know your thoughts on them down below. And as always, if you have any romance book recommendations, feel free to leave them in the comments. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next time I post a video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.